All right. Shalom, Martin. Start the lesson. I do want to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh by Hashem El Shai by Hashem Kakadash. The one to our apostles and elders of great most on that taught us the truth. Peace and blessing to the sincere Akims and the brother Iraq. We are from the great Millstone Miami camp and come out to the spirit power of Yahweh by Hashem El Shai to make another lesson. Okay, in this lesson, I'm going into how we have to keep Yahweh Shai as a centerpiece. Okay, and also with that, now is the time to be solely rooted in Yahweh Shai. Okay, I remember when the bishop from Atlanta came down. He was going into how now it's the time to get rooted in your Yahweh Shai, because when the storm comes, we gonna really see who is rooted in the Lord. Okay, all right, now is the time to be doing what you got to do to please the Lord. Okay, being a brother. All right, putting your best foot forward for the Lord. Okay, being rooted in this thing, because now when the storm comes, that's gonna see who's really about this thing, man. Okay. And to reference too, we see when the storm comes, and the storm gonna throw trees all over the place, but there's certain trees that's gonna be still rooted in the ground. Okay, and we want to be kept in good condition. All right, when this storm comes, you know, and that storm may consist of Jacob's trouble. Okay, of many waxing cold. All right, we want to be rooted now. Okay, that's why the scripture said for us to build a house, upon that rock, and that rock is your house. Okay, because if you build that, if you build that house on sand, the storm gonna take you away. All right, now is the time to be rooted in the Lord, because hey, that's our help. All right, our only help. Okay, we can't save ourselves. Our family members can't save us. Esau can't help us. Shit, he's the one that's bringing this thing, man. Okay, it's only the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, that's gonna be able to help us in the time to come. All right, but you don't want to be caught so easily by the storm. Okay, you want to be solely rooted in this thing. All right, keeping your faith in this thing, man. Okay, not getting withered away by different um by different trials and tribulations. Standing stiffly. All right, that's what it mean by ultimately being rooted in your house, right, man. Constantly reverencing the Lord, constantly giving the Lord praises. All right, putting your best foot forward. Okay, but I got that Matthew, what I just quoted, Matthew 7:24 said, "Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto the wise man who built his house upon a rock." That's right, man. This is the red letter, so this is Yahweh Shai speaking. Okay, whoever listens to the words of Yahweh Shai, you gonna be like a wise man. So the scriptures reference you to a wise man to when you listening to the words of the Lord. Okay, and you gonna be referring to a wise man that built his house upon a rock. Okay, meaning stable. Okay, if you build and you see that now for people that's in construction, you can't build your house on sand. Okay, you got to build your house on solely rock, man. All right, that's what you got to build your house on. Okay, verse 25, and it says, "And the rain descended, and the floods came." Right, that storm, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And this right, man, all type of things came at this house. Okay, well, yeah, all type of things came. Okay, upon this, upon this rock. Okay, but nothing happened. Right? Guess why? Because it was stable. It was stable in Yahweh Shimei Shai. Stable in Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's what it means, man. And it says verse 26, and no, verse 25, and it says, "And beat upon the house, and it fell not, it was founding upon a rock. It founded upon Yahweh Shai." Okay, that chief cornerstone. 26, and it says, "And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine, doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man who built his house upon sand." Okay, so the scriptures reference you to a foolish man who built his house upon sand. Okay, and if you build your house upon sand, well, what's gonna happen? Okay? Yeah, you build your house upon sand, you're gonna be taken away by the storm. Okay, the storm's gonna take you away. And it says verse 27, and and the rain descended and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. And that's right, man. So soon as that storm comes, soon as those tribulations, this trial came, all right, that that house fell. All right, because guess what? They wasn't rooted in the Lord. Okay, they didn't have faith in the Lord. They wasn't, rooted in Yahushua. They was doing what they had to do. Okay, they didn't make Yahushua that chief cornerstone, and then when the storm came, it took them away. All right, and that's what we don't want to do, brothers. Okay, because now we know we have the great spirit. Now is the time to be rooted. All right, now is the time to be rooted in the Lord. Okay, because you don't want the storm to take you. All right, it's gonna be one of the worst storms ever to come. On the nation of Israel and the whole world, man. Okay, America is that. Okay, Esau gonna come down with with a great flood. Okay, knowing that he have a short time. All right, to live in many waxing cold. How are you ever going to be? How are you going to be able to save yourself if you're not rooted in the Lord? Okay, you're gonna be like the rest of these people running to Esau for help. Panicking. Scripture say not to make haste in the time of trouble. If you're not rooted, you're gonna make haste. All right, if you don't have a backbone to lean on, when our hell breaks loose, you gonna fold. All right. If you don't have Yahweh as your backbone, you gonna fall when when this shit come out, man. Okay. But hey, scriptures tell us, to be unmovable, unshakable. Okay, this is First Corinthians 15 and verse 58, and it says, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable." It's like to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work, or slack it. Read it again. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much you know that that the labor is not vain in the Lord. And that's right, man. If you standing so stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shema Shai, okay, you're not gonna be you're not gonna be caught by the storm, man. Okay, guess why? Because hey, you stood stiffly for the Lord. All right, you didn't let all these other things, all these other little problems get to you. Okay, to where the point where that you falling out. Okay, and I'm reading the annotation. So my dear brothers and sisters, be strong and unmovable, always work enthusiastically for the Lord, for you know that nothing you do with the Lord is ever useless. That's right, man. What we doing for Yahweh Shemel, it's not useless. Okay, everything that we doing now, we are going to use. Okay, us praying, we're going to need to pray in the times to come. Okay, us believing in the Lord now, we're going to have to believe in the Lord in the times to come. Okay, because, right now, people not believing in who they call God. All right, they say they do, but they don't. Because when shit not going how they wanted to, they start to question the Lord. All right, when it seems that they're back against the wall, they start to question, why God, why? But us as men of the Lord, we gonna already know that, hey, Tawade Yahweh Shimon Shai, and Yahweh Shimon Shai deliver me. All right, that's what's gonna be. That's what's gonna separate us from the people, among the masses. All right, that's what's gonna separate us from the unfaithful and from the 2/3. Okay, because we gonna believe in the Lord. All right, we were grounded in Yahweh Shai. Our center was Yahweh Shai. Everything we do consisted of Yahweh Shai. You waking up and praying. You giving the Lord praise. Okay, you receive money out of nowhere. Okay, you having a good day. Duwadi Habashim El Shai. Everything going your way. Duwadi Habashim El Shai. Okay, somebody at work giving you hell. Hey, you constantly reverence the Lord, constantly reverencing YAHAWASHI, man. YAHAWASHI. That's you showing your faith and you being rooted into the Lord, man. Okay? Yeah, tell the other lesson is going to be us to be rooted in the Lord. Okay, because you don't want to be caught by the storm that's going to take place, man. All right, you don't want to be caught with with these people trying to run down to each other for help. Okay, make it hasten in time of trouble, not reverencing the Lord. All right, because a lot of people are going to lose their minds when there's no food in the stores. Okay, when there's martial law in the streets, a lot of people are going to lose their mind, man. Okay, they're going to be trying to kill, steal just for a piece of bread. All right. But as men of the Lord, we are rooted in the Lord, and the Lord's gonna help us. All right, because guess why? If we doing what's pleasing of us now, okay, these other people not doing what's pleasing to Yahweh Shema Shai, so they're gonna get caught, man. All right. So they out come low and those edify, that are doing to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Kadosh. Don't want to start off to the great millstone. Peace and blessings to the sincere Akim. With that, I'm gonna say Shalom.